Today we are going to review the answers for the packet pages for this week. So that'll be page 12, 13, 14, and 15. So please turn to page 12. You should have read pages 75 through 84. So number 1, infer. How does Ivan feel towards Ruby? So remember, when we infer, the author doesn't tell us directly. We have to use clues from the story. We used clues to find out that Ivan feels jealous towards Ruby. Which sentence from the text led you to your inference? One example of a sentence from the story that could lead you to this inference was when they said, when Julia comes, she sits by Stella's domain and watches the new baby. So Ivan is jealous that this baby is getting attention from Julia when he used to get attention from Julia. What happened to Ruby's family? A, humans killed them. Reflect. Based on what you read, Stella is, do you think she is selfish, caring, or humorous? She's caring from the way she treats Ruby. Which sentence led us to that? One example of a sentence that you could use for this one is, all morning, Stella strokes Ruby, pats her, smells her. So that's examples of how she is caring and takes care of Ruby. Page 13. So that was after you read pages 85 through 96. And this says summarize pages 85 through 96. Include the main idea and the supporting details. So your summary could be written a lot of different ways. But we want to make sure to include that Ruby and Ivan are bonding. They're getting closer, getting to know each other. So as long as your summary includes information about how Ruby and Ivan were bonding together. Page 14. So this is after you read page 97 through 105. This is page 14. Vocabulary context clues. Using clues from the words. Define the vocabulary word using context clues and or a dictionary. She looked away contemplating. So contemplating means to think fully or deeply about. So a synonym or a word that means the same thing as contemplating could be ponder or think deeply, but ponder is one example of a word that means the same as contemplating. Create mental images. So good readers make pictures in their mind as they read. Draw the picture you visualize when the good human saved Ruby. So there's not really a correct answer for this. We just want to make sure it matches what Ruby talks about with the humans saving her family, when they saved Ruby. Our next page is page 15. So this was what you should have read today. You read pages 106 through 115. Draw conclusions. The audience thinks Ruby is a hit. Ivan doesn't know whether he should be happy or sad about this. Explain why he feels this way. So like inferring, when we draw conclusions, we have to use the clues from the story to figure out what the author means. They don't just come right out and say it. So this one could be many different answers. We can think about how maybe Ivan was jealous, so maybe he would be sad. Or we could be happy because he wants Ruby to enjoy her life at the Big Top Zoo. So we could kind of say happy or sad depending on your opinion, and then explaining why he feels this way. Infer, why is the promise Ivan made to Stella so hard to keep? So he really wants Ruby to have a better life and wants to help her have a better life. But Ivan is stuck in his domain. So it is going, let me fix that, to be really hard for him to help Ruby have a better life, live a better life, because he is stuck in this domain, so it's going to be hard for him to help her. Reflect. Based on what you read, Mac is, think about if he's selfish, caring, or kind. And unfortunately, he is selfish and doesn't care about the animals as much as he cares about himself and making the money for his Big Top Mall. What is the mood throughout this section? So kind of how the author makes you feel while you're reading this. And this part of the story is the sadness. There's a lot of sad things that happen in this section. Next week we will continue.